On August 4th, a mostly unknown player called Piper J3 Cub was doing some Minecraft speedruns in the 1.16 random seed glitchless category. With a personal best of 17:05, his goals weren't too lofty. He just wanted a new personal best, preferably a sub 15. He definitely didn't have the world record in mind as he loaded up this seed. Brentilda's 936 was so unreachable that no one had come within even 90 seconds of it after almost 4 months. To even get a seed where beating Brentilda is possible is very rare at this point. But on August 4th, Piper did just that. In this video, I'm going to break down the new second fastest 1.16 RSG speedrun, and just what could have gone differently to make this seed the new world record. Let's get into it. Minecraft 1.16 speedruns can be cleanly divided into 3 parts. First, the Overworld, where the players gather tools and find a Nether enter, ideally getting iron and food, but sometimes leaving that for the Nether. Second, the Nether, where the player loots a bastion and a fortress, getting ender pearls, blaze rods, string, and obsidian, then builds a second Nether portal with the obsidian they got from the bastion. And third, the endgame, where the player triangulates the stronghold, finds the end portal room, and kills the dragon. Let's start at the beginning of this run. The first thing you might notice about Piper is that he uses a dream skin. This actually makes your Minecraft character more aerodynamic and increases your speed by up to 10%. Why every speedrunner doesn't use a dream skin is beyond me. Piper spawns into a plains biome and quickly spots a ruined portal. While ruined portals are the meta in filtered seed glitchless, the vast majority of nether enters in random seed glitchless are going to be via lava pools and underwater magma ravines, due to the fact that a completable ruined portal is very rare. But with 1 piece of obsidian missing and only 1 piece of crying obsidian, Piper only needs 2 obsidian to finish this portal. And that's what he gets in the chest. But as rare as a ruined portal enter is, the other thing Piper finds is much, much rarer. A gold sword with the looting 3 enchantment. This greatly improves mob drop rates, most notably blazes, and makes the blaze fight about 30 seconds faster than even the fastest possible blaze fight without looting, and potentially multiple minutes faster than the fight would have been. A looting enchantment is a huge advantage, and it's one of the things that separates the sub 6 minute filtered seed times from what could reasonably be expected in random seed glitchless. But in this one, extremely rare instance, Piper does have looting in RSG. With the enterable ruined portal, Piper's also got a taiga village nearby, where he'll grab a bed and make his basic tools, then kill the iron golem, which drops 5 iron, allowing him to make an iron pickaxe, which he'll need to loot the bastion, and a flint and steel to light the portal. He also gets flint from only his second gravel broken, despite a 1 in 10 drop rate, making his pace even faster. He stocks up on wood, which he'll use throughout the run, then uses his iron pickaxe to break the gold block that spawned on top of the ruined portal. From that, he makes a gold helmet to de-aggro piglins, and a golden pickaxe to break the crying obsidian with. Finally, he's able to enter the Nether at 3 minutes and 25 seconds. This overworld was played really well by Piper, with no major mistakes. I estimate only about 19 seconds of possible time save from better gameplay, 3 from general faster movement and decision making, 5 from a more efficient iron golem fight, 8 from when he left the village then remembered to get wood and doubled back, and 3 from faster crafting. The majority of the potential time save here will come later in the run. Piper enters the Nether about 30 seconds slower than Brentilda did off of his village and lava pool overworld. But Piper has the small time save of already having an iron pickaxe, and the much larger time save of having the looting sword. That won't matter though if he doesn't get a bastion and a fortress relatively close by. Let's move on to the Nether. As Piper loads into the Nether, he immediately spots a fortress very close by, so all he has to do is check if there's a bastion. By seeing a spike in the entity counter as the chunks load in and lowering his field of view to find the general direction of that entity spike, Piper can know that there is a bastion nearby and the direction he has to go to find it. Because of the proximity of the fortress, this is a rare case of a player looting the fortress before the bastion, as players will usually acquire ender pearls for movement and fire resistance potions before fighting blazes. But with a golden apple and his looting 3 sword, Piper will still be able to complete the blaze fight relatively easily. He enters the fortress at 350 and finds a blaze spawner 20 seconds later. He kills the 1 blaze that spawns in the first cycle, then doesn't have to wait long for 2 more to spawn. All 3 of the blazes drop 3 rods each. He does strongly consider waiting for more blazes due to the possibility that 7 of his Eyes of Ender could break, but he bravely decides to leave the fortress at this point. Brentilda had a very fast 90-second fortress split, but with looting 3, Piper is out of the fortress less than a minute after he enters it. After stopping to get some much needed food, another advantage of looting is that killing 1 hoglin gives him 7 pork chops, more than enough for the rest of the run. Piper makes his way to the bastion, which actually has pretty bad proximity, taking him about 90 seconds to get to from the fortress. However, because the bastion was far away, Piper is now inside the ring of coordinates where strongholds can generate in the overworld, meaning he can build his second nether portal inside the bastion, and leave the second he gets all the trades he needs. If you combine the time it took Brentilda to get from his nether portal to the bastion, with the time it took him to get from the nether fortress to the spot where he built his second nether portal, and discount the time Piper spent killing the hoglin, Piper only spent a few more seconds traveling than Brentilda, and Piper's proximity to the nether fortress from spawn was actually better. So, given that Piper's blind travel spot inside the bastion was very close to the stronghold, it can be argued that they had nethers of equal quality, but with Piper having the advantage of the looting sword. Anyway, the bastion he finds is a housing bastion, and he's able to use the bottom manhunt route, where he breaks the chest in the middle to anger the piglins around him, then leads them into a spot where he can quickly collect several gold blocks, and trade the gold with the piglins. He's also able to loot a double chest on the way, and while he gets unlucky with the amount of piglins he gets trading at once, slowing down the rate of the trades, he gets very lucky with the trades themselves, getting the necessary obsidian, along with 14 ender pearls and enough string for 3 beds very quickly. By blind traveling back to the overworld at 8 minutes flat, Piper has a bastion split of 1 minute and 40 seconds. For comparison, Brentilda's world record also used a housing bastion, and had a bastion split of about 1 minute and 35 seconds, although he did use a different route. Again, Piper didn't lose that much time on theoretically optimal gameplay in the Nether. I estimated about 10 seconds of time loss to small things like movement, inventory management, crafting, etc. He loses about 6 seconds by building on top of this bridge in the fortress, then going down the staircase, instead of running straight to the lower bridge. He could have saved about 5 seconds on this second blaze cycle by eating his golden apple before the blazes spawned, then just killing them and tanking the damage without pausing to avoid the fire. This probably wouldn't have had negative consequences, since he got a great food source about a minute after leaving the spawner. Finally, he loses about 5 seconds by misplacing some blocks while building his second nether portal in the bastion. Good thing he misplaced the netherrack and not the obsidian, because that would have been really costly. In all, I estimate only 26 seconds of time lost to more optimal gameplay in the Nether, which combines with his 19 seconds from the overworld to put him 45 seconds behind a fantastically played run. Keep in mind that even the best speedrunners aren't going to play a run perfectly, at least not a random seed run. And with all the pressure on Piper, being only 45 seconds behind a run with near perfect gameplay at this point is actually really impressive. Let's move on to the last part of Piper's run, the endgame. He makes his way back into the overworld at 8 minutes, about 15 seconds faster than Brentilda did, but as you probably know, Brentilda's endgame was nearly unbeatable, divine traveling right next to the end portal and having a very fast end fight. Nonetheless, this is where the nerves really hit Piper. An 8-minute return to the overworld isn't world record pace with an average stronghold distance, but it's Piper's best pace by far, and it's about to get better. You can see in his crafting the Eyes of Ender. Not only does he miss his crafting, but he also uses all 14 Ender Pearls, ignoring the fact that he should save a couple to make the end fight faster. He throws his first Eye of Ender and checks the angle, and at this point he has to pause to calm himself. After regaining his composure, he does the common strategy of moving several blocks to the side, throwing another Eye of Ender, checking the angle of that eye, and doing some quick mental math to estimate the distance of the stronghold. But when he throws the second eye, and there's a sharp change in the angle, he knows the stronghold is very close, bringing his pace from great by his standards to great by anyone's. Understandably, he has to pause again, as there's suddenly a ton of pressure on him. This is where things get really complicated. You see, when Brentilda set his world record, the rule was that any time spent paused would not count towards the time of the run on the leaderboard. Runners had learned to abuse this rule though, and Brentilda spent about 90 seconds of his world record run paused, leading to a huge discrepancy between the real time that passed during the run and the in-game time, or the official time. This prompted a change in the rules. Now, some pauses are allowed, and other pauses will count towards your time. For example, pausing right when you load into a new dimension, like Piper did when entering the Nether, won't count towards your in-game time, meaning you can do it for as long as you want. Pausing because you have to go to the bathroom, or there's a fly in your room, or your nose itches, counts. What makes it really complicated is that Piper paused because he was panicking, which is very understandable in the situation he was in. And according to the new rules, pausing due to mental health concerns, such as a panic attack, or interruptions which can't be reasonably avoided, will not count towards the runner's time. The decision the verifiers now have to make is where to draw the line. Does the runner have to have a proven medical condition, or does this exception apply to anyone who has problems with anxiety or nerves? Let me know down in the comments what you think the verifiers should do when retiming the run, and their decision will have a large impact on the final time of this run due to the amount of time Piper spends paused during the endgame. Now that that's out of the way, let's get back to the run. After 2 more eye throws, Piper is able to dig down at less than 9 minutes, and his stronghold navigation is actually very good, as he quickly eliminates 2 paths that are unlikely to lead to the portal, then smoothly finds the portal room despite a ravine cutting through the stronghold. He fills up the end portal and enters the end at about 9 minutes, 35 seconds in-game time. Now, before we get to the end fight, the rest of the time lost in this run comes in the period between traveling back to the overworld and entering the end. So, we can take a minute to draw our conclusions about how this could have potentially beaten Brentilda's world record. Piper loses about 6 seconds while crafting the Eyes of Ender, and if he had left 1 pearl uncrafted, he could have pearled to the middle of the island in the end, saving 10 more seconds. He loses about 5 seconds to suboptimal movement while traveling through the swamp, plus about 6 seconds to not finding the dig down spot within the chunk of the stronghold quickly. Optimally, he also would have crafted a gold pickaxe with the leftover gold from the bastion, which would have saved about 8 seconds while digging down. This isn't even a mistake, but Piper happened to spend 10 seconds checking 2 paths in the stronghold before going to the right one. All in all, optimal gameplay would have been about 45 seconds faster in the endgame of this run. Combine that with our time saves from earlier in the run, and that's 1 minute and 30 seconds saved from his in-game time of 10:41, putting his theoretical time at 9 minutes, 11 seconds, beating Brentilda's world record by 25 seconds. I know it may seem like a reach to say this could have been world record, since the runner would have so little room for error. Back in the day, it was easy to say, sure, this seed could have been world record if everything went right, but that's true about a lot of seeds. Not anymore. To find a seed that could reasonably allow the runner to set the new world record, even barely, is incredibly rare in this day and age. And when it does happen, it serves as a reminder that as hard as it may seem right now, Brentilda's world record will eventually be broken. That Piper wasn't the one to do it shouldn't reflect badly on him. There are very, very few people who could even come as close as Piper did. So instead of talking about what didn't happen, let's finish looking at what did, as Piper enters the end at under 10 minutes, with the potential to get the second ever sub-11 in RSG. As he runs to the middle, Piper's got a tall task on his hands. He grabbed 1 bed from the village at the beginning of the run, and got 44 string from the bastion, enough to craft 3 more. That means he's going to have to one-cycle the dragon with 4 beds, which is far from free. He only needed 1 more string trade to get 5 beds, which would have greatly improved his odds of succeeding at the 1 cycle. But he was confident in his ability to 4-bed, making this run even faster. And when he needs it more than any other run of his life, Piper gets a perfect perch, as the dragon waits for him to get his 4 beds in his hotbar, and then immediately flies to the middle. With a slightly inconvenient dragon angle and height, he's got 4 beds and his axe at the ready. And despite the most pressure he's ever felt while speedrunning. On pace to be one of only 2 people to get a time this fast, Piper pulls it off. A huge congratulations to Piper. This is an insane accomplishment that very few people could have pulled off. Be sure to subscribe to his channel, it's linked in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to The Weekly Thing, since most of our viewers aren't subscribed, and we make a ton of videos like this one. Be sure to join our Discord and check out the links in the description as well. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.